Hey guys, welcome to a series of videos that I'm going to be pumping out for the next couple weeks that are snippets of videos from my membership website, fromthefield.farm. So today's video, you're going to see, it's actually the beginning piece of a series of videos I did on marketing for fromthefield.farm, and you may see a few more snippets of them throughout this video series. But without further ado, here you go. All right, let's jump into it. We're going to talk about a variety of different market streams and all that. But where I want to start with is just some basic principles of market research. And I want to start with this because it relates to marketing, but it is so critically important. And I can't say this kind of thing enough. I see comments sometimes on my YouTube channel where people are like, yeah, I tried that. It didn't work. You know, I started growing microgreens and nobody wanted them. It's like, well, before you started growing microgreens, you first should have done the research. And so I want to just tell you a little bit about my experience with market research. And if you have a copy of my book, I really do get into this in there and explain the importance of it. So some of this might be iteration for you, but it is really important. So before you start a farm, like really, when you start to think that you would like to farm, and we're talking about any kind of farming here, you could be raising cattle, you could be growing microgreens, or anything in between. It doesn't matter. The principles are the same. And this is universal in business. When you have an idea, it's important to explore that idea and flush it out. You think it's a good idea, you think you can make some money at it, you think that people in your community might like it, or people globally might like it. It doesn't matter. The next step is to go and ask the question, do people want this? Is this something that is actually going to sell? So from the farming standpoint, you can start locally. You might be interested in growing microgreens. So you need to ask the question, first of all, is there anybody else in my community growing microgreens? If they are, who are they selling to? Where are they selling their stuff? What do the customers look like? What do the products look like? What are they charging for the product? Then ask things like, you know, can I get this stuff here? Can I order these seeds here? You know, go down the list of all the things that you need to do and ask the question, is this feasible? Because it might not be. Generally speaking, if you're in North America or Western Europe, you're not going to have problems with a lot of this stuff because a lot of these things that I'm going to show you today are very transferable to the Western world. You know, when I talk about production and I've, you know, interviewed many different farmers over the years, really we are focused on Western culture. Like this, the production techniques can be usable anywhere, but we are really talking about Western culture. This is a Western phenomenon for the most part. And there's even parts of Western Europe where some of these things don't translate that well to. I was talking to a woman from Spain just last week who's translating my book into Spanish. And, you know, we've had to adjust things in the book and just make notes of things that, you know, some of these things aren't that transferable here. So it's important to ask these questions. Like, if Curtis is selling, I can sell a bag of salad greens for this price. Is that actually something that people do here? Now, if you're in North America, the answer is mostly yes. There might be parts in the Midwest of the U.S. where it's very large-scale agriculture and there's not a lot of room for farmers markets, but there might be other market streams that you could do. But you really need to go and ask yourself these questions. Who's going to buy the product? What does the customer look like? Really make that list of what's your demographic? Who is the customer? What do they look like? What are the socioeconomics? What are the cultural characteristics of these people? What are the gender characteristics? You know, most of the time I found in market gardening, we're actually selling to women. At a farmer's market, women are making like at least 80% of the consumer decisions. And you see this just in plain sight each day when you're at a farmer's market. It might be a family coming up, but it's the mother that's making all the key decisions. So that changes your marketing. That changes your angle of approach and who you're targeting. And all this stuff is very basic marketing stuff, but it's really important to ask, if you're going to grow this stuff and you're going to create this product, is there a market for it? That's so important. And sometimes the best place to start is just looking around to see if other people are doing it. Like before I started my farm, I spent about a year doing market research, and I read about this in my book, but I started like a composting program. And so I had some land that I knew was going to be a farm, but I started just collecting compost. I had some time. I had saved a bunch of money from years of tree planting, and I had, set myself up that I could basically spend almost a year, well, a winter essentially, like half a year, where I was just tinkering around with some things on my farm. I wasn't growing anything, but I was learning how to compost. I was just doing a lot of research. I was like learning about farming. I was reading books, but I was also doing a lot of just market research. So I'd go to the farmer's market every Saturday. I would talk to the growers. I would look at what they were selling. I would look at the prices. I was making notes. I was asking them questions like, hey, when you start beets, what's your first planting date? I'd ask them questions like this, but I was also offering value too, in the sense that I was their customer, right? So I wasn't one of these annoying customers. And I know, because I sold at farmers markets for many years, one of these annoying customers who just stands there and they're not even a customer. They're just asking you questions and they're taking your time and they're not buying anything. So those kinds of customers are annoying. Those kinds of people are annoying. So I wasn't one of those kinds of people. I was always offering value. And at a principle level, this is so important when it comes to just business in general, is that you show up with value. If you want something, you don't go to somebody and say, hey, I want something from you. And I know this because I get, 50 emails a day of people that want something from me. And it's like, I only have so much time in a day. And so that's really important, especially when you're starting out. If you want to do market research and you want to get information from other growers, ask them questions, but also offer value. Don't be afraid to support them and give them something in exchange. And I did that a lot at the beginning. I'd go around and, one of the things that I learned really early on how to figure out where there's a market demand in your local community is to go to a farmer's market on a Saturday and go there in the morning and see what everybody has on their table. So at the time I was profiling vegetable growers, not necessarily market gardeners, but I was targeting the organic vegetable growers. Some of these guys are large scale with tractors. Some of them were small scale. Not many were small scale at the time, but I would look and see, okay, this guy's got beets on the table. He's got some salad mixes and so on and so forth. I would look around, make notes of what everybody had in the morning. I'd come back in the afternoon, like say an hour or half an hour before closing. So that was like 12 or 12:30 for us. And I would see what was on the tables. And so the things that were left on the tables that had been kind of sitting there all day and there wasn't being a lot of that product sold, I knew that was something that wasn't really going to be a priority for me to grow. But the things that sold fast and the things that were, I'd even observe this in real time in the mornings, the products that were moving quick, the things that people were buying a lot of, I knew there was a demand there. And I knew that's where I wanted to focus my energy on. And so that's really what this is about, is look at what's out there, look for niche markets of, potential products. And I figured a lot of this out the hard way. Like, what are the things that I saw early in the day that just weren't selling? And there's a lot of things, because I grew about 80 different types of vegetables in my near 10-year career of market gardening. And each year, every single year of my farming career was just cutting product out. I started with a lot of stuff, and that's often what you have to do with farming, is you cast a, sort of metaphorical a big fish net, you throw it out there and you see what you get, and then you refine from there. And what that really looks like is starting with a lot of stuff, and then in real time, every farmer's market making notes like, hey, this product's selling quick, this one's not selling at all. Okay, why are we even growing this? And this is why on my farm, because we've done some videos on crop planting and stuff like that. This is why on my farm, I actually never really followed, except my first few years, I never really followed a traditional crop plan. Is because my farm was so small that in order to make it profitable, I couldn't spend a season growing something that wasn't selling. And so for us in real time, I would see, it's been 2 or 3 weeks in a row and we're just not selling this one particular product. Let's get rid of it. I would literally go and pull things out of the field, and I might blow it out and sell it at a discount or donate it to the food bank or the soup kitchens or something like that. And then I'd just start planting another crop. Like, hey, what's there a lot of demand for? And for me, I found that to be salad mix pretty early in the game, that there wasn't a lot of growers that did salad mix. Most organic farmers that I knew found it tedious. And, the quick cut greens harvester wasn't really around in those early days. I was one of the first people to use it, and it changed the game for us on salad mix. And then we started to figure out other ways to wash it and all that. So we found ways to streamline that product that other growers just didn't want to do. And that allowed me to leverage it and really become more of a specialist in greens, because that was the niche. And I basically was willing to do the work that other people weren't willing to do. And I was able to refine that product, make it more lean for us, less costly. And I, in turn, made a really good profit from it. Okay, so if you guys enjoyed that and you want to see more content like that, by all means, continue to watch these series of videos that I'm putting out here on YouTube. But if this kind of in-depth content interests you, keep in mind, this is just a snippet. These videos that I publish each week are on average an hour, sometimes well over, and less than often, they're less than an hour. But I also put out a Q&A video each week as well, where I basically just answer questions in a monologue style video like this, and just answer people's questions. And actually, I publish that as audio now. It's kind of a podcast version. It's fun. We do that every week. But if you like that, join up for FromTheField.farm. The site is listed below in the show notes. Sign up. Registration is from April 5th to April 19th. So it's only a just over 2-week period. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you later.